Hugh Freeze continues to put an emphasis on the line of scrimmage. Let's talk about it on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go. Uptempo gang. What's up, man? I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday night. Got a good crowd in the comments section already. It fires me up, Blake. It fires me up. Dustin Smith here with you, and as always, joined by my guy, the creator of the Uptempo podcast, Mr. Blake Lane. Blake, how you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great, Dustin. It's been a heck of a day. Little family time. Got to eat a little crawfish, man. Them prices come down a little bit, yeah. So we got to eat a little crawfish tonight and had a nice little family dinner. And Auburn Dad for life. I see you in the comment section, brother. Dustin and I want to send you all the prayers, and we are certainly thinking of you. I think we're going to do something. We're going to come up with something for you, brother, and we're going to make something happen. If we can get you some merch or anything like that, just something on the house for us and for you always tuning in and being a part of the show. We greatly appreciate you, and we're always praying for you. So, Dustin, I wanted to get that out there. Sure. And look, Auburn After Dark happened last night.
Hey.
We add an offensive lineman. You know, we got the linebacker commit, and so hey, we keep saying it. The excitement around Auburn football is here, and you saw it last night. Out of nowhere, bang! We get a big time commitment, highly touted player, and I think these kids are loving every second of it. I think these recruits are buying in, and I think the trajectory of Auburn football is headed to the top, and that's what I'm excited about, Dustin.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we're about to get in here and talk about Mr. Tyler Lockhart, the 4-star linebacker commit. Like you said, Blake, I woke up this morning. I clock in my new job now at 5 a.m. That's when I got to punch the clock. So, that means I'm waking up about 3:45, right? So I'm waking up, brushing my teeth and everything. I said, what happened last night? Man, oh man, I like that. Yeah. And I can tell you right now, the Mississippi State fans are not too fired up about it. Before we get in there and talk about it, man, I want to shout out to our guy, Brett, who is so locked into Auburn. He is watching the Uptempo podcast from an Aunt Victory event in Birmingham. He's in our group chat right now, sending pictures from the event there. That's an Auburn man right there. We love you, Brett. Our guy James is here. Teresa's here. C. Reed with the War Eagle. War Eagle to you, my guy. Ann is in the building like he always is. Miller, we appreciate you. Auburn Dad, we love you and we appreciate you. Daniel is here as always. Daniel, I saw your comment from earlier in the day. I got it up there. We're going to get to that at the very end. I'll close out with that one, my brother. But Blake, let's get in here and let's talk about if I can get this comment off the screen. Okay. So like we talked about, Tyler Lockhart, 4-star linebacker committing to Auburn last night, man. Out of Mississippi, and I watched a little bit of his highlight tape today. His huddle from his junior season last year is over 18 minutes long. So I got about 10 minutes into it and said, I'll watch the final 8 with the members. So I'm off tomorrow. I'll be doing that for the members. But some stats for you, Blake. 100 tackles last year. 28 tackles for loss, 11 sacks. He said that he mentioned after he met with Durkin, he just loves what DJ does with the linebackers. That was a big part of the pitch that kind of sold him was what DJ does with the linebackers. He really liked Josh Aldridge as well. And just what I saw in about 10 minutes of film, I saw a physical player, very strong upper body strength, just kind of just throwing guys around with his arms. You see it there on this, or I didn't actually put his measurables up there, but you see 6'4", 205, 6'3", 210, kind of depending on where you look. Definitely likes to come down and hit, man. Physical. The way that I said, we said that DJ Barber would wake up and drink tackling fuel. So far, Tyler's going to get that badge on this year's class. Really, really like his game, Blake. So just kind of talk about the job that your boy DJ Durkin is doing, man. They're building some studs over there in this defensive class, brother.
Hey, that's what we were excited about, Dustin. He's always gonna get them linebackers, and he's gonna stay stout up front on his defense. And Tyler Lockhart, he was wanted by everybody, and some believe, like you said, that Mississippi State would be the landing spot. I believe his brother played there.
His
Plays there.
brother plays there, yeah. So he had a lot
Yeah.
of crystal balls, and then Bama was really after him hard too.
Yeah, and Womack even made the video about,
Yeah.
hey, can't wait to get you here and all this stuff. Yeah. So look, he was wanted by everybody, and that's the first thing that kind of popped to me was the athletic ability and just the tackling, living behind the line of scrimmage, and hey, getting after the quarterback. I think that's one thing that Auburn really, really likes and wants out of Tyler Lockhart. So I'm really pleased with this get, and I loved how it kind of happened. It was kind of out of nowhere at like 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, and it was just like, bang, here you go. Auburn recruiting never stops, and Josh Aldridge tweeting out the domino effect, and this coaching staff, they're doing it the right way, man, and they're getting after it on the trail, bringing in elite talent. You're stacking that talent at linebacker. What we brought in this year, and now you get a commitment from Tyler Lockhart because you are losing guys at that position, right? In that room, you got some guys that are leaving who are out of eligibility, and so you want to get these young guys in here like a Tyler Lockhart, and the staff is doing their job, and they're getting guys that can play SEC football. We're not getting guys. Look, not taking a shot at what we used to recruit, but we're not. These ain't 2 and 3 stars rolling in here anymore. We're not going out to Missouri and fighting for a 3-star prospect.
Well, here's the thing, Blake. Just think about it like this: who's the last linebacker from Auburn that's been successful in the NFL? I'm gonna go back to Josh Bynes, right?
Yeah, the 10-year career. Yeah. Yeah, and he wasn't even projected to have a lot of success. It was just hard work.
And KJ Britt's working now. He's kind of working. He's actually going to start for my Bucks this year. Looks like.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But it wasn't enough to say, hey, KJ, but yeah, Josh. Yeah, I mean, man, that's crazy to think about because we've had some absolute dogs,
My dad's listening right now, hating that.
Yeah, and we've had dogs like throughout the program's history, and it hasn't been there lately. So, yeah, I'm when I saw this last night, I immediately got in the game day group chat and I was like, bang, this is huge. And you kind of you're taking another shot at the team across the state. Like, hey, we beat you. All right. We beat you. We got him. You didn't. And so take your shot. And, it's just positivity all around the program right now. That's what I'm really, really excited about is you got guys like Tyler Lockhart that he can come in. He can play. He's very talented. He's quick. He lives behind the line of scrimmage, and it's a position area that you need to address because of what you're losing, and this coaching staff's doing it, Dustin.
Yeah, it's never easy to go in there and get players out of Mississippi. If Ole Miss and Mississippi State want a player, it's hard for even the best of schools. It's hard for Georgia. Like you can do it. It's not impossible, right? But it's tough. Was it remember Kamarion Franklin? Big 5-star defensive tackle. We threw the book at him, dude. We wanted him. There's no doubt about it. Ole Miss, who doesn't necessarily, they live kind of out the portal. They don't live through high school recruiting. They beat us head up because it's hard to go in there and pull a kid out of Mississippi. And now this is going to be one of those we have to stay after because his brother plays for Mississippi State. He lives, I think it's like 45 minutes from Starkville. So we're going to have to kind of stay after this one, but I like it. And, listen, Hollis Davidson, the tight end, he decommitted yesterday. So it kind of makes me wonder if maybe they had this one sitting on the back burner this is just speculation here. I haven't confirmed this or anything, but maybe that decommitment happened and they said, hey, dude, why don't you go ahead? And announce it? Ain't too late. We'll put it out here at 10 p.m. It don't matter. We'll do it. And then one more thing about his game that I forgot to mention. Dude, I saw like 5 or 6 forced fumbles and that highlight tape. I mean, he was putting that ball on the ground, and you love that, dude. You love a turnover machine. So big time gift for Auburn, dude. Super excited about it. And then real quick, we won't spend a whole lot of time on this one, but we did also pick up a commitment yesterday out of the transfer portal from, was it Ronan Chambers? He is an offensive lineman from Akron. Got 1 year of eligibility left. Blake, we've got 5 or 6 spots left to fill out the 85. And I think that's what you're seeing. You got a guy that's played 4 years of college football. I know that he might not even crack the 2 deep, right? But we just witnessed a couple of years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, when we got down to our 4th-string center, right? Yep. Remember when we had to move everybody around? I think it was Braden Joyner. We finally got him over to center, and we were like, "Oh, this works," or whoever it was. I already forget, man. But we were really scrambling there.
That was during the potato famine, so
yeah. So hopefully it's getting out of my brain for a good reason, right? But yeah, the point is, man, we really went down centers. We got down to our 4th one there. It happens, right? It happens. Mm-hmm. So just having a guy that's played a whole lot of football, he might be your 16th offensive lineman, but Hugh said he wants to have 16 on a roster every year. He had 15 before this, so it's not earth shattering for Auburn or anything, bro. But I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Like a guy could be a leadership guy, a glue guy, come in and help these young kids. Is he going to play? Probably not. But you never know, like Dustin just mentioned. Injuries happen, and he's a guy that's played a lot of college football. So, hey, like to have him on the roster. But, I don't know why he didn't go to Tulane. But at this point, I don't really care that he didn't go to Tulane. He come to Auburn, and I'm cool with that because you're trying to fill out a roster. Like you said, Hugh wants 16, you got 16, and he could be a guy that helps others in that room. So I'm not mad about it. I think it's a nice pickup, and wish him the best. I guess one thing you could say is, what if he comes out and blows everybody away, and he ends up, an injury happens, and he ends up getting on the field and playing 6-7 games and making the most of it. So it's not a, it's just a decision for him. Maybe, he was going to Tulane and they offered something, and Auburn was like, hey, well, we'll give you a little bit more than Tulane. Or, I don't know. It had to be something along those lines. Or maybe he just said, hey, I want to go here and learn something from this staff, help these guys. Like, this is the end of my college football career. Maybe it was that. Who knows? But we got a commitment, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I hear you. He probably just, I look at it like, man, guy's played 4 years in the MAC. He might just want to say that he played some SEC football, man. He might want to experience the atmospheres and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man, good depth piece. And I'm glad to have him. So, Blake, let's talk about this line of scrimmage, man, because I went back and I looked at it. And I'm going to read off the names for you of our position coaches. I'm going to start at the offensive line. Going to go back to J.B. Grimes, was your coach in 2019. Then you get to Jack Bicknell in 2020. I completely forgot that even happened. Then you got the 2 years of Will Friend, who, come to find out at the end of his career, maybe he was handicapped. And so we maybe didn't get a fair shot at seeing what he was really capable of, because turns out he was literally told to not go on visits and stuff, but I'll leave that alone. And then now Jake Thornton. And then on the defensive side, Rodney Garner was doing his thing. That was in 2020 when it was his last year at Auburn. And boy, have you not seen the defensive line play go down significantly since that moment. Then you had Nick Easton for a year in 2021. Then you had Jimmy Brumbaugh for a year in 2022. Then you had Jeremy Garrett last year in 2023. And now you have Coach Williams in 2024. So that's 5 straight years, 5 defensive line classes, or 5 defensive line coaches. And then 4 years. I mean, you're going on your second year now with Jake Thornton. And here's my argument for this, Blake, and then I'm going to ask you this question. You're seeing the offensive line recruiting be the best it's been in a long time. And now you got a guy that's not handicapped and is here for multiple years, and you're giving him the resources to go do it. But Blake's, like, when you look at the D-line, bro, and you see 5 coaches in 5 years, just the lack of continuity, man, just kind of speak on that. And, like, what does that do for recruiting? Like, you're having a different voice every cycle talking to these parents and talking to these kids. And is it not reflecting on the field and what we've had at the line of scrimmage the last 5 years?
Yeah, great point. But that's one reason why I think Hugh hired Coach Williams, because he was that guy that was up and coming, and he was really close to Coach Garrett, and these kids relate to him, and they talked about him. They were like, "Hey, look, we get one-on-one time with him, and he's a coach. He's a guy. Like, he's teaching us things daily." And I think Hugh kind of saw that opportunity to say, "Hey, look, I've got an up-and-comer. He knows what he's doing. He already knows how to recruit. And we've saw what he's done in the transfer portal. So instead of me going out and getting another guy from outside of the program, him coming in, having success, and then jumping to the NFL, maybe I can hold on to Coach Williams for 2, 3, 4 years, and then he get his opportunity to go to whatever NFL team that comes a knocking." But I think that was big for Hugh. When making that hire, he was like, "Hey, look, I got a guy right here in my room that wants to be the guy, and he's going to hang around and be here with these kids," because I'm sure guys that are interested in Auburn on that D-line are saying, "Hey, look, you've had numerous coaches walk in and out of the door. Like, what's going on? Why should I come there?" But now at least Coach Williams can say, "Hey, look, I was Coach Garrett's right-hand man. Like, I was his guy. All right, that's who I learned everything from right there. And me and him, bang. All right, like, I just took over what he left, and now I'm here for a couple years. All right, 3, 4, like I said, before somebody comes a knocking. So I think Hugh, that was a big hire. Now we just got to see it go from inside of the facility to Jordan Hare on the field. Now we just got to see, hey, you're coaching these guys up. Now let's see the finished product, and let's see these guys step up and make plays. And then I think if that happens, that's kind of like the icing on the cake, Dustin, is that's what you hope to see. Because then I think it could kickstart, and Coach Williams could really get the ball rolling. O-line, Coach Thornton and what he's done, boy, we hadn't seen nothing like this in a minute. I mean, that's a guy. That's a guy, man. Just the effort that he has put in to completely change what we have had to suffer through at that position group. And for him to be able to pull talent in. And I know last year the O-line didn't live up to what we kind of thought it would, but it was still far, far better than what we've been through the previous 5 years. All right. And then to lose a couple of guys from that group, and you go out and you get guys that are even better to come in, say, "Hey, here you go. I'm just plucking whoever I want. Here, hey, I want you, Percy Lewis, come here." I mean, hell of a job from Coach Thornton. He has lived up to everything that was said about him when he come over from Ole Miss. I think that was a heck of a grab, and Hugh's Hugh's got his guys rolling, Dustin, and that's what I'm excited about.
One or two more commitments in this class, and Jake Thornton's wrapped up. All he's got to do is just kind of keep recruiting his guys, and but he's good, man. He's been busting ass out there. So big shout out to him. And we talked a lot last year when we got into recruiting about how thin the South was at offensive line last year. Just the 24 cycle was thin on the offensive line in states like Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia, Louisiana, and that's really, really rare. And it was so unfortunate to happen to Coach Thornton in his first year as the Auburn offensive line coach. But he got creative, right? He went out and got Seth Wilford from JUCO. He went and got Sedna from Northwestern. When that whole situation went down, ended up being a kid that was pretty highly ranked out of high school. And then you get him in a weird situation. Like, it was a creative way that you got him here. And that he had 4 years of eligibility left when we got him or something like that. Yep. So, that was a good grab. And then this year, when you get back to, okay, now there's plenty of talent like there normally is in this recruiting class in the 25 cycle. He's out there doing work, man. He's out there getting guys that everybody wants, like Tavares Dice. And he's going out there and finding guys like Buster from North Carolina, who you're the first one on. And then he does some camps, and all of a sudden offers start rolling in, and his ranking starts climbing. So that tells me that you're nailing evals too. So this is going to be a long process, because Daniel asked, when was the last time we recruited offensive linemen before 2024? We haven't, brother. We haven't. They wanted to last year. They understood it was an issue. But like I said, it was just slim pickings, man. I mean, DeAndre Carter's a stud, a highly ranked 4-star, but we had to go out to LA or wherever. We had to go out to Cali to get the kid. And, we were lucky to do that. And it's just, so we really had to kind of go and stretch just to get the 4 guys that we got in the cycle last year. It was just like, again, it was a weird situation that just kind of happened that way, where now all of a sudden you're back to normal, where this class and the 26 class are loaded up front. So this is really the first year that Auburn's been willing, had coaches that understood what to do, had the stuff behind the scenes. Yes, I'm talking NIL, all in order to go get big-time offensive linemen. Because you look at Georgia last year, hell, they went out and signed like 7 of the top 20 offensive linemen in the country, and you're just like, well, y'all took them all, right? They didn't leave anybody for us to take. So we're getting back in there. So I'm very pleased about that. And I saw Auburn Dad's comment about people wanting Coach Thornton fired. That's why I read off this. That's why I read off all these coaches, man, because I understand that. Position coaches change a lot, but 5 D-line coaches in 5 years, 4 offensive line coaches in 5 or 6 years, it's not good, man. You need continuity in rooms, and so I think that just. You see it now. He's got his second year under him. He's kind of got his board. And these relationships take time, right? We see it in recruiting. You don't recruit a guy in 6 months, right? You recruit him in 2 years. So a position coach has got to be in there a while to fill out his board and start getting his guys in. So I think that Coach Thornton is doing a good job. And I'll get to the D-line over there, Blake, but it sounds like you got something you want to say, or looks like anyway.
Yeah, I just... We live in a time where everybody just wants instant success, man. And what that was last year was just plug and play and just hope to survive. I can't hold that one against Coach Thornton. It was just, hey, we got to throw something together. We're in a rough spot. It's just, look, we're still in a hole, all right? We're still in a hole. It's improving, but I can't just come out and say, hey, I want the man fired, all right? Like Dustin said, we have to let a man get in here, build his room up, get his guys in here, let him go through a couple recruiting cycles. Then maybe next year, if it's not panning out, all right, then we could look in the room and say, hey, look, all right, this thing it's not going the way we thought it was. But people wanting him fired now that's crazy. I just don't get it for the athletes that he's bringing in, and like you mentioned about DeAndre Carter. Like, look, Texas wanted him. Texas
Yeah.
was making the push, and Coach Thornton said, "Hey, come here. All right, all the way from Cali, you come here."
Remember, they actually flipped him, and it wasn't official, but they had actually flipped him, and then
And so it's I think that's a little bit overboard for people to want him fired or whatever. That's crazy talk. But go ahead, Dustin.
Well, no, good stuff, man. I'll say this, he had Connor Lew ready, didn't he? True freshman had to get called upon to be center, to run the offensive line. And he had Lew ready to go. And that's, he was involved in that recruitment, and he didn't have a whole lot of time. And you were still able to flip Connor Lew, the best center in the class, one of the top offensive linemen in the state of Georgia. You were able to do that from Mario Cristobal, who recruits offensive linemen. That's his specialty. Like that, the way Hugh grows and grabs his receivers, that's what Cristobal does at offensive line. And you were able to go in there and get him. And then the second that a center gets hurt, that your starting center gets hurt, that you have a true freshman ready to roll. And he steps in and performs. And I wanted to correct myself because I thought of it a minute ago. Brandon Council is the center that I was thinking about. Remember, a couple years ago, all the guys fall apart, and then Brandon Council was like the third or fourth guy that gets to play center. And then all of a sudden, he's the best one. And we were like, man, he should have been the guy. But yeah, I said Braden Joyner, who's currently on the team. It was Brandon Council. And then offensive line, too, man. We know it's the position of development. Like, it's so rare that a true freshman is going to come in there and be a stud at the offensive line. Offensive line and quarterback are probably the two positions where that's the least likely to happen. For all the talent that DeAndre Carter has and a great player he's going to be at Auburn, we're not going to see him too much next year unless things go horribly wrong. That's just the way it is. A big recruit, one of the very few offensive line recruits that we did get over these past couple of years that other teams actually wanted, E.J. Harris a couple of years ago, he's just now cracking the 2 deep. It takes a couple, it takes some time. And the Connor Lews are rare. I mean, he's just a dog, and those come around every now and then. But yeah, that's crazy talk. And then looking at defensive line, man, like we all know what Rodney Garner did. We all miss Rodney Garner every single day. You go back to that 2019 defensive line, and I mean, it just it speaks for itself. You go back to that LSU game that year. Rodney Garner, what does he do? He's a recruiting mastermind, bro. Evaluation, understanding if I get Marlon Davison, I can pair him up with Derek Brown, really being a genius, and then obviously having the ability to go in and beat out everybody. Like, you went and got Derek Brown out of Georgia, dude. That's just, it was such a huge win, and look what it did for our defensive line for the next 4 years. I would argue he's the best, if not, top 2, top 3 defensive tackles in the league right now. And when that happens, your program still in a way benefits from that. Like, Derek Brown's success right now in the NFL is helping out Auburn right now. It would be a point I would make there.
Yeah, he just signed like $100 million deal, didn't he?
Yeah, he got paid, bro. So you can definitely sell that. You can sell that in the living room. Hey, you come here and you can get paid.
Yeah, it was like one of the biggest it was one of the biggest contracts in a minute for a D tackle.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was up there. I know my boy Vita Vea at Tampa's paid, and then Aaron Donald, who just retired. I know that he was
$95 million.
Yeah. So he's
Crazy.
up there, man. Yeah, look, dude, you can come to Auburn, and despite what the Bama burners tell you on Twitter, bro, you can come to Auburn and go to the league and be. My favorite one is whenever I'll say something about DBU, whenever an Auburn DB has success, and then it's, you ain't got any DBs in the league, and it's like, actually, dude, if you did just do a little bit of research, we do. But and then
they've won a couple Super Bowls lately too.
Yeah, dude, like lock in a little bit, and Roger McCreary did all right out there in Nashville last year, and Daniel Thomas is holding it down in Jacksonville. We got some guys out there, man. There's always some Auburn DBs in the league, and I think Simp was drastically underrated, and Indianapolis got themselves a hell of a pick, bro, and he's going to do his thing. Watching scouts Washington scouts say simple is too slow. I was like, all right, bro. Okay. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
they
see
also said Tom Brady wasn't that good. So
yeah. Well, the whole take on Roger McCreary was that his arms were too short.
yeah.
Like, all right, bro. But look, so Rodney Garner, and then you had Nick Easton, who actually was a pretty decent recruiter, I felt like, but he wasn't here but 8-9 months, and then he goes to Clemson. Jimmy Brumbaugh, that was an absolute disaster. Man, the only player that really, I won't say that, but the best win that Jimmy Brumbaugh had in recruiting was Reuben Bain, who was silently committed. And then whenever we fired Harsin, he was like, I'll come to Auburn if Jimmy Brumbaugh stays. And obviously that's not what happened. And then Reuben Bain goes down to Miami, and it's just the best defensive line freshman in the country. I'm just like, okay, that's an Auburn story for you. And then Jeremy Garrett last year does a good job, recruit some dogs, and then he goes to the NFL. So, that's a good and a bad thing because, you're 5 years, 5 defensive line coaches. It's tough, but I had not even thought about the point you had made about Coach Williams kind of helping out with the continuity point that I was making. I really hadn't even thought of that. So excellent point, dude. Because it's, he was under him, and we were winning when we were getting these big time recruits. They were all saying, hey, Coach Williams is my dude too, man. We were hearing about the work that he was putting in. So, yeah, good point you make there. Where he's probably like, all right, man, well, let's do this right here. The players already like him. He's familiar with our board. I'm sure that his board was a whole lot like Coach Garrett's, So, and he's doing young. And it doesn't ever hurt to get young position coaches that these guys can relate to, especially as the game continues to change. And then, Hugh Freeze talks about all the time just how much different it is than 5 years ago. So I like the hire Coach Williams. And, I'll say this too, because this is important. I've noticed that Auburn is not scared to get into an NIL battle on the line of scrimmage. And that tells me that the program understands what's up, because USC likes to spend their NIL money on the outside. They're going to go drop dimes on wide receivers, dude. They're going to go drop bags on wide receivers and quarterbacks and skill position guys.
Need to drop bags on a defense.
That would they maybe a couple of D tackles, maybe a linebacker or two, maybe a safety that's not scared to come down and hit a guy going across the middle. They can invest in some of those things, but a program ultimately, Blake, is going to end up reflecting a head coach. So USC is reflecting what Lincoln Riley thinks is important and finds as important. So they're going to put up a lot of numbers, and they're never going to win national championships as long as they continue to prioritize what they prioritize. Yep. But this isn't NCAA, dog, which we all can't, or excuse me, EA 25, which, can't wait for it to drop. But listen, you got to have we all know what it is. So it really does fire me up to see that everybody at Auburn is aligned. Like, hey, you need money to get this certain, this person down here on the line. Not a problem. It was not a problem to get Jamonte Waller. Oh, we need edge rushers. We need pass rushers. We got to have this kid. Okay. Well, we're not going to lose because of money. And in 2024, Blake, that's a huge part, man. Will Redmond, shout out to Will Redmond. Somebody put a comment on our last episode talking about Keats. Okay, yeah, dude. Good point by you in the comment, brother. Good on Will Redmond. And you're going to see this. We talked about this before, right? Where you're going to see every team within 2 or 3 years have a GM, but he did a good job this offseason and navigating the spots and getting guys in with eligibility, with just 1 year of eligibility left. I'm talking about the other day, right? And kind of bridge the gap and all that. So just the alignment, man, the alignment from the top down. Hugh knows that he's got time. And the philosophy from the whole organization kind of seems to be, hey, and if you guys out there, like, I know there's a lot of Braves fans, right? Did the Braves not start winning when they got back to focusing on minor league and building through the minor league, and they started all having alignment? Like, I'm not a Braves fan, I'm a Tampa Bay Rays guy, but I know I live around you guys. I know, I know what the Braves were, and I know that whole organization from Ted Turner, the 90s Braves that we all grew up on, right?
Yep.
Ted Turner down to Bobby Cox, that whole thing was a line, bro. So the whole thing from their minor league system, it all went up and worked. So I'll make that point to say, like, you guys see it in pro sports, organizations that all have the same thing going on from the top down. It clicks eventually. Might take some time, but if you have a game plan, Nick Saban, right, the process, if you stick to it, it's going to happen. And it fires me up that for the first time in a long time, I see Auburn focused all together and focused on the right things. I mean, go look at this recruiting class right now. There's not a lot of skill guys. Now we got to get them at some point, and we know that Hugh Freeze will. But man, like when Hugh Freeze took over, what was the one position that was just depleted? Did you think that offensive line was going to be this far, this fast? Do you think it was going to be at this point it is right now? I thought it was going to take 3 or 4 years to get to where we are now.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't think it would come this quick. And to see what he did at the skill positions with receiver, yikes, man. That's why I'm not worried about it right now. We know Hugh's going to get skill guys in here. We know he's going to get running backs. That's why I wasn't really worried with Alvin Henderson. Go have your fun on Twitter and all that good stuff. We're in good hands, man. Look, that treated timber from Yellowwood, it's nice. It's real nice. And if you need a home project, make sure you go by Yellowwood and you make a couple purchases and keep the money right. And it's helping Auburn day by day. So appreciate it, man. And it just goes back to when Dustin's sitting here talking about everybody's a line. Guys, we heard for years and years that all these people that just don't want to see Auburn win. Like, the people at the top, they're just got it in for Auburn. It's either their way or the highway. Well, it seems like things are a little different. It seems like these people that are donating their millions and millions of dollars are saying, hey, that's not the case. We want Auburn to win. We fired a guy who was keeping us competitive, made a bad hire. All right, things got sideways, it got rocky. But then you bounce back and you make this hire. And so, look, like you said, they hire Redmond. He comes in. That GM of the new age college football, that right there shows you, hey, there's alignment. We got to get things right. We need the head guy to overlook everything, the transfer portal, high school recruiting, all that stuff. Just some of the assistants that he's brought in that captures key pipelines that Auburn has had throughout the years. South Florida, Atlanta, we can go on right here in Mississippi. We just got a recruit last night right there. You walk into Ole Miss and Mississippi State's backyard. Ole Miss is being talked about winning a national championship next year. Like, being talked about, hey, they're going to be one of the 4 buys. All right, like, it's crazy. Like, the media is all over them. You just walked in and said, hey, come here, in their backyard. So, look, Auburn's putting the NIL up. They're putting the money up. Hugh Freeze, recruiting, assistants, recruiting, coaching. Like, it's all building up to saying, hey, we want to get back to winning. It's a new league now. The SEC, there's no more East versus West. It's top to bottom. All right. I think that works out for Auburn. I think that is in Auburn's favor, because now you don't have to go through LSU every year. You don't have to go through Texas A&M every year and all of that stuff. Like, you don't have to play Texas and Oklahoma every year. So I think it works out in Auburn's favor that there is no more East and West. And I think the alignment at Auburn kind of looked at all of this and was like, hey, the time's now. We're moving into a different era of college football, and we have to be right in our home camp. Like, we have to have it under control and moving in the right direction. So I like it. I like where the program's headed. I like hearing the JD Pickle, or however you say his name from On 3. I like seeing him get on YouTube and saying, hey, this Auburn program, all right, they're turning into an Auburn program. All right, they're turning into a program. And that's what you want, because that's what Saban had. That's what Kirby Smart has. All right. When you asked Dan Lanning up at Oregon, he said, hey, who do you want to be at Oregon? He said, I don't want to be a program. I want to be a program. I want to make one of these Oregon Ducks teams like the SEC teams down there. All right. That's what I want to build. I think that's what we're doing at Auburn right now. I think it's going to show up. I think we're going to surprise some people this year. I think we're going to be better than whatever DraftKings wants to throw on the board and hopes it sticks. Look, that's shocking, man. I don't know. The Texas A&M thing, that's wild to me.
What, being 3-point underdogs?
Yeah, I don't really understand that one. I don't understand. I know it's on the road, but I don't understand the Alabama 15. I don't know. I just don't think that's going to be a 15-point game. But I also don't understand how you throw lines out when
Hey.
we're still 4 months away. But like, I don't know.
We still got portal kids that could go. That might commit. And
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
We're still, like, we haven't even started fall camp where there could be an ACL or whatever. Like, it's just crazy to me that you're already dropping stuff like this. But I think it's headed in the right direction, Dustin.
Yeah, for sure. No, if you guys followed us last year, and a lot of you did, that prediction from me and Blake ain't come until about a week before Auburn kicks off versus A&M, because I got to see how camp's going, like Blake mentioned, health, and how the team is kind of forming together off the field and all that. But as the summer goes on, man, we are going to be doing a lot of SEC content, kind of looking at the conference as a whole. So stay locked in for that, man. We got a lot of football to talk about. My guy Brett, like we mentioned, another way to help out: donate to On to Victory, like Brett does at the On to Victory event. Keldrick told him we're beating Bama this year. I would expect nothing else from my guy Keldrick, and I'm sure that every player that was on that team, on that field last year in that Iron Bowl, is going to come back this year and have something to prove. Definitely going to be a motivated Auburn team coming into that game. Let's see. Auburn Dad says that Garrett went up, not across like Garner and Easton. Yeah, I kind of gave Easton a pass because he was going to his alma mater. But also, you look at his resume, and like he leaves everywhere after 1 year. So it's like, okay, dude, whatever. And this and that kind of coach is kind of the reason, is always the caveat when I start getting on how much I hate players leaving in the portal. And I'm like, well, then you have coaches that do the exact same thing, and those kids commit to those coaches thinking they're going to be their coach, and they go take a lateral move. So yeah, Garrett did go up. And that tells you that Hugh Freeze is that makes me feel good about Coach Williams, because Hugh identified a guy, that guy goes on, and Hugh's done that. Hugh, if you look at his defensive hires, it's a really impressive thing for an offensive-minded coach like Hugh Freeze, but he has a lot of assistants that he hires on the defensive side that go on to be successful into coaching, or just good coaches in general. So it's just interesting, man. He's got an eye for talent. And then Garner, like that was a regime change, man. So I don't hold that really against him either. Just a lot of stuff going on there with the Kevin Steele and Gus and blah, blah, blah. And he said, let me get on up out of here. And he probably saw Brian Harsin was the man they hired and said, let me get on up out of here. Teresa, if this is true, then this might be the first time this ever happened in favor of Auburn. She says that someone said Tulane didn't have the classes he needed for his major. Tulane are a very academic, institution,
Yeah.
a prestigious academic institution. I don't know if Akron is, so if they're also one of those kind of schools, then my apologies to the Zips. So I don't know, but if this is true, Teresa, then like first time for everything. Auburn got a person because they didn't have his classes at another school. Because
Yeah,
man,
can we get sports management?
yeah, Grayson McCall would have looked all right, and Auburn. We could go down the list. Let's see, and then Auburn Dad says Connor was forged in the heat of fire. Absolutely, man. You go in there and you get a guy that Georgia, Miami, that all these teams that are recruiting at elite level want to get. That's what it looks like. And just an absolute stud. And also, classes helped us there because Connor wants to be a pilot, and we had aviation, baby. And that actually eliminated a lot of schools that wanted him out of his recruitment. Brad says, did you guys already talk about the new portal pickup? I've been on the phone for the first 20 minutes of live. Yeah, brother, we did. But, when we get done here, you can go restart it. And this is a good opportunity for me to make the announcement that there's about 1,000 of y'all based off of our numbers that didn't know we went live Sunday night. And I understand because we don't go, we don't do Sunday shows often. But if you want to watch more up-tempo content, go over there, man, and watch Sunday's show because we didn't get to go live Thursday night. We didn't have the opportunity until Sunday, and a lot of people still haven't checked that one out. So get over there and do that for us whenever you get the time, man. And Blake, so let's get over here, bro, and let's look at the roster real quick. I'm gonna look at a projected. Not really projected. We kind of know at this point, right? There's really not a whole lot to debate as far as who's going to be starting. But we'll look at offensive line. You got Percy Lewis, obviously you're expected to starter at left tackle. And then the backup, Tyler Johnson, which I think is pretty exciting, a young kid that's developing fast. Left guard, you got Dylan Wade. And then maybe Muskrat behind him. Joyner's in that conversation. Carter's in that conversation. You can kind of move guards around a little bit. Center, you got Connor Liu and then Tate Johnson behind him. Tate Johnson, if you have to, you can slide him over to guard. Right guard, you've got Jeremiah Wright. And then, like I mentioned, EJ Harris sitting there at number 2. Right tackle, Too Tall Miller. And then maybe Seth Wilford behind him, maybe Favorite Edwin. That'll be interesting to watch. So just Blake, is this not is this not night and day, brother? Is this not night and day from what Percy Lewis, man? Percy Lewis out there, like I feel good about our left tackle situation, dude. I feel like we got one of the best centers in the SEC, man.
Was it in the country? The country.
All right, correct me. You know about
that. Dog. It's just like you feel like you're already set. You feel like your offensive line you're set, you're ready to move toward fall camp, good to go. We haven't been able to say that in a while. So like that's the big deal is you have a 2 deep. That's a big deal to me because you haven't had that in a while, and you have an offensive lineman transfer in and you just immediately say, well, he's not going to play. So you're stacking talent. You're getting a guy who's played a lot of SEC football, a highly touted guy that enters the portal, wants to go play on the big-time stage. And I'm not saying that Mississippi State's not the big-time stage, but Cam Newton told you the differences between playing at Mississippi State and playing at Auburn. Like, he let the world be known that Auburn is the better choice. Percy Lewis let you know that Auburn is the better choice. Jake Crane let you know that Mississippi State cares about baseball. That was a great episode by Jake. He went to the dude, had a blast, and it's crazy how much Mississippi State actually cares about baseball. One of the best facilities up there in the country. So it's there, man. Like you secured that guy at that left tackle spot, a position that you have extremely struggled at for the longest time. And so I think, that's why it kind of shook me that the Thornton stuff and people just throwing that out there is like, we're we're right. We're right at that position. Like, I don't really get it. And we're still going after big time recruits. And, you're in the thick of hearing Micah DeBose's name. And, like it's just guys like that are trying to get on campus and come back for visits. And we're sitting here, tossing that around and hearing that stuff. I don't know. I think Auburn is in a great position on that offensive front. It definitely feels like very different from years past. And you have options to move guys around. You have options to move a guy like, hell, there's been talk of DeAndre Carter. He's looking to play guard, but he can move out and play tackle. It's probably not going to happen, but he can. Like, you have options. You have the ability to move guys from tackle to guard, and guard to you can move this guy from right guard to left guard, left tackle. Like, you haven't had that at Auburn in a very long time. I can remember the days where we were having to take D tackles. Right? We were having to take D tackles and put them on the offensive line. That's how much different it is. That's how much different it is right now. And you're in the month of May. So it's crazy, man. Like, that's why I'm really high on Coach Thornton, and I think he's done a hell of a job in the short time he's been here. Is because we were a disaster, and I know a lot of people they don't like bringing it up, but we had a first-round draft pick playing quarterback at Auburn University. And he almost got killed because we couldn't block for him. That's how bad it was. We had a first-round draft pick that loved Auburn with all of his heart, and he almost got killed because we couldn't block for him. We didn't care about the position. We didn't care. We didn't give a damn. Like, and you had a guy that just got drafted 12th overall to the Denver Broncos, and Sean Payton sitting here going, hey, man, like, this dude, I rearranged the board to make other teams make it look like we weren't going to draft him because I wanted him so bad. And Gus just didn't care. Brian Harsin didn't care. That's how bad off we were on the offensive line. Where my buddy said, hey, I got to go, man. I love you with all my heart, but I got to go. I got to go out here and throw it around the yard so I can go to the NFL. That's how bad we sucked.
Yeah.
Crazy.
JB Grimes, Blake. JB Grimes was the dagger in Gus Malzahn's coaching tenure at Auburn. It was. I mean, he hires JB Grimes, and JB just failed at evaluation and failed at numbers. Like, just let the numbers get so out of hand. Like, you just didn't have any. I mean, when Hugh Freeze took over, like, I don't remember the exact number, but I feel like 7 or 8 linemen. Like, we didn't even have a 2D filling out, bro. Like, and that goes back to JB Grimes, and JB Grimes is responsible for the offensive line that Bo Nix, or lack of offensive line that Bo Nix and Tank Bigsby had to play behind. And so it sucks, dude. It's tough. But that's why recruiting is so freaking important, man. And that's why we focus, we put a lot of emphasis on this podcast about it. Because as the recruiting goes up, you'll see the play go up.
Do you remember like our offensive line was so bad that Tank Bigsby was getting hit 3 yards in the backfield, breaking tackles, all right, and still finding a way to pick up 3 or 4 yards. Sometimes taking it to the crib. And he could have said, hey, deuces, I'm out. All right. But he stayed for some reason. Yeah. I'm glad he did. But he stayed when he could have went home to Georgia or wherever. He could have went to Tennessee or, whatever. That's how bad we were. We were awful. And insane, man. Like, it's night and day difference. It's night and day difference. Just to be in some of the recruiting battles that we're in right now, and hell, we went 6-7, and we're in recruiting battles with teams that won back-to-back national championships, like the greatest dynasty of all time. Like, come on, man. It's not even. It's crazy to think about that. You make fun of us for being 6-7, but you're in a recruiting battle with us. With a team who got beat by Maryland in the Music City Bowl. Crazy. It's crazy to think about. That's how great it is.
Yeah. No, they before I can tell you this, before it came time, that last night before it became official, Alabama made one hell of a push for Perry Thompson's son, and he will be at Auburn very shortly. My guy Rodney from Bruton, Alabama, 251, stand up with the 1999 super chat. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the hell out of this, man. Yeah, this it costs a little bit of money to run this podcast, and we definitely appreciate you, buddy. So that's big time. That helps us out a lot. Our guy C says, I made it in time for the show. I guess you're talking about Sunday's show. Appreciate all y'all that did. Like I said, man, if you haven't checked that out, go do that. Drexel, what's up, brother? He says, I think our O-line is a lot better, but you don't know till the real games start. War Eagle. Yeah. Drexel, I could take this, man, and put it on a banner for the next 3 or 4 months. This is going to be we're going to be doing lists and bold predictions and projections. It's just that season, man. I can tell you what, dude. I think I said it on the Sunday show. It was this last Friday night is when it slapped me in the face. I think it's because my Lightning have been eliminated, and now I just don't have nothing. The Rays, but hell, Blake, football will be halfway over with before we even start postseason to the MLB. So I'll stay tuned in, but it's hard to get fired up right now.
No doubt.
So yeah, man, these are tough times, Drexel. This is tough times for all of us that love college football, that love the sport of football in general. I would love nothing more for this Friday night to be going to a high school football game and Mobile or somewhere down here in Pensacola, man, and watching some boys popping pads. But we're a little bit ways away. But yeah, man, you're right here, and but we gotta pontificate. We gotta guess. Tyler, my little brother, popping in saying, "War Damn Eagle." Who has been your favorite addition from the portal so far this year? I'll stick with the theme, and I think Blake's going to agree with me as well. Percy Lewis. I mean, you go out and get a starting left tackle, it sets your whole offensive lineup. Now you can move everybody where you want them to be. You're a lot more comfortable with Xavier Miller now and the situation that you got on over there. I think this sets up your whole offensive line, and he's protecting your quarterback's blind side. And it's a guy. You're getting a starting left tackle that's got started over 20 games in the SEC. I mean, it's huge, and he's huge.
Yep, agreed. Sticking right there on the point that we've talked about all night, Dustin. I agree 100%.
Richard says multiple additions on the D-line is his favorite thing. This isn't a bad one, man. We talked about this Sunday. Evaluating Hugh Freeze saying, hey, there's a hole here, and I got to patch it. And slowly but surely, first portal cycle, Trill Carter, Gage Keys. And then this cycle was getting Crawford, the edge rusher, getting Blitty. And I know I'm missing another guy. There's one more guy. The name slips my mind, but you added.
Talking about Rakes?
Rakes. Yeah, Rakes. Rakes is it. Rakes, yeah. So, a guy that's going to play 25, 30, 35 snaps in the SEC for you and is familiar with your new defensive coordinator system. Tim? Speaking my language, brother. He says, until we show consistency on the field, Vegas won't trust us. And that is the facts. And I can't blame them because despite all the barn that I have inside of me, I don't trust Auburn. I love Auburn. I'm going to pull for Auburn with all my heart. But y'all act like I didn't just watch the Music City Bowl or the game before that one where you had a 99.9% probability to beat your arch rival and you let that 0.01% creep in. So, yeah, I don't trust Auburn either, bro. And I hate saying that. I hope they earn my trust back, but Blake, I've been watching the games. I don't miss one. How can I trust them?
It's a solid point. Yeah, it's just I don't know. My big thing with A&M and that whole point is like you lost everything. Like you lost your coach. I understand you got a great coach in Mike Elko. You lost everything, dog. Like you had tons of talent leave. Those great number one recruiting classes gone. They're out. And then you want to favor on the road. You want to put them as a favorite over us, like disrespect. I hope Hugh prints that out and he puts it in the locker room in that facility and says, "Hey, look, let's blow this up and hang it here all summer long. So when we're in here lifting weights, I want every one of you to look that you are a 3-touchdown dog to Georgia. All right, you are a 15-point dog to Alabama. You are a 3-point dog to Texas A&M. What was it, 6.5 to Oklahoma, 6, something like that. You are a dog to Oklahoma. They think the Arnold kid's gonna walk into Jordan-Hare and smack you around. So I don't know, man. I just Texas A&M kind of seems like a little bit of a dumpster fire to me. I don't know. I've never really liked Texas A&M. They're just they're weird to me. It's a cult. Yeah, the midnight yell is weird. The all male cheerleaders and standing over there and doing their little, it's just weird, man. It's weird. I don't get it. But yeah, I hope we smack them.
I can't say it because we might get flagged. But do your own research and Google the Texas A&M bonfire whenever they play Texas. Just Google it. And they're playing Texas for the first time in a long time this year. So I'm interested to see if they're interested in firing that tradition back up. And if you go read it, you will definitely probably come back on the next episode and be like, my God, why did you send me down that route? And you might look at A&M like they're even weirder than you initially thought. Before we get out of here, C-Red says, I think this defense will be nasty, finally have depth. I think that will be the biggest difference this year. Yeah, this is a very solid point, man. We'll end on this. Eugene Asante, Larry Nixon, those guys last year in that linebacker room had to play so many snaps. You saw what happened in the fourth quarter. We saw what happened when Keldrick Falk in the Iron Bowl doesn't even have time. Like, you're not hurt, man. You got to get back out there. We saw how many snaps Marcus Davis played. And you saw in the fourth quarter of games, he was starting to look tired, man. Like, that's especially as the season wore on. You have to ask yourself, how much do you close the Bama game out if all those guys have not been playing all those reps and you were at the end of the season, last game, game 12, fourth quarter, if you're able to rotate, like we talked about with the Rodney Garner lines, when you had 8, 9 guys and you had the depth. Yeah. And, SEC is as physical as they come. And injuries are going to happen to you, especially at the line of scrimmage. So you got to have guys. And I like what DJ Durkin brings to the table. I like what Josh Aldridge being down there at the edge. I like our defensive staff. We don't know a whole lot about Coach Williams, but I trust him because Hugh has a long enough resume, like I alluded to, of hiring good assistants. So, yeah, I'm fired up about this, man. And I do think that you have a lot of depth. I'm really excited to see how the defense all kind of comes together, because I think it's going to be a good defense, but just how it all kind of pieces together, because you got a young secondary, right? You got some guys at linebacker, but a lot of them are young. We brought in the kid from Duke. Is he going to start as next to Eugene? How's all that going to work? There's just a lot of pieces. I'm interested to see how they all kind of fall together. But I do agree with this point, Blake. The depth is there, bro. The depth is definitely there this time.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is Antonio Kite. I like that pickup in the portal. I think this defense is going to be really solid. I think DJ Durkin is going to bring the heat. I think he's going to blitz. I think he's going to throw different things at every team we play. It's not going to be what we saw last year. And you got the guys to move around like a Champ Anthony and like an Antonio Kite. But hey, coming from Bama, look, I'm threw that little tweet out there, and Alabama fans attacked it and got all up in arms about it. The guy played in Nick Saban's system for a year. Yeah, I'll take him. All right. I think getting Keandre back was huge. Another guy that you can move around. He can do it all back there. Like there's guys in the secondary that can move around, and there's guys up front and in that linebacker room that can make plays. And you're going to teach those young guys. You're going to coach those young guys up, and those young guys are gonna get on the field early. So I think you're going to see some success, and I think it's going to be a fun year for that Auburn defense. Now, we're going to have a game where it doesn't go right, and so, just bear with us, and everything's going to be okay. So, yeah.
For sure. Before we get out of here, man, if you're interested, here are the options for the member. You got the $3.99 a month JV squad. You got the $5.99 a month varsity squad. Blake just uploaded we just dropped the Keandre Lambert-Smith, and then there's also an edge from Pensacola Catholic High School about 15 minutes up the road from me that just picked up an Auburn offer. So we kind of took a peek at his film, and then I will actually be at his spring game May 17th because there's also a 26 defensive back from Pine Forest High School who Catholic is playing that Auburn has offered. So a couple of guys were after the 26 class. I will be there on the 17th to do that. We've got some recruiting camps coming up. I'm trying to get credentialed and get to all that stuff as well. We're working on that stuff behind the scenes. So stay locked in, man. It doesn't stop, off season or not. We're going to stay cranking it out here. And then when that EA college football game comes out, this is the way that you're going to get the access to the online dynasty leagues that we're already getting set up and all kind of stuff, man. We're doing a ton of research, a ton of testing with some other games behind the scenes to have that all ready to roll. So just stay locked in, man, and be on the lookout tomorrow because I will do the Tyler Lockhart member pod. So that'll be in your feed in the next couple of days. That's all I got, Blake. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You got anything before we go, man?
No, Drake won. That's it. So that's what I'm going to end on. It's a wrap. So thank y'all. We appreciate you. War Damn Eagle. We're out of here.
Sure. War Damn.